for it. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to the smartest guy in the room. I'm Jerry Dempsey, again with my good pal and lifelong friend, Matt Otis Smith. Matt, what's going on, buddy?
Jerry, it is cold here today. When is it ever going to get fucking warm in Albany, New York?
Don't you get like 2 months in the summertime where it's like really shitty hot, like sweat, your balls sweating hot? Then it
10
goes back
months
to
of
freezing.
10 months of winter, 2 months of bad skiing.
Yeah, I went skiing in Ice Face once, I think. Isn't that what they call it? Lake
Yeah.
Placid.
I used to live across the street from there. That's where I learned how to ski. But uh, it's just weird, man. It's just it won't. It's been it gets hot here, but not this year so far. A couple days here and there during April, but it's fucking. I don't know.
But I mean, in all honesty, don't you have like from June to October where it's pretty solid weather, like good wise?
Yeah, usually it's May through mid-October, but um, you get
Is it?
to it's May 1st now, and you get to jonesing for the good weather.
Yep, it's already 80, 90 degrees here, so I
Albany
mean,
was Albany was this year was colder than Buffalo.
that's what I was going to ask you. Do you get more snow? You don't get more snow than Buffalo, do you?
No, the snow here is child's play compared to other parts of the state, but we did have a couple storms though this year that were heavy hitters, but yeah.
Is it? Do you I went kayaking. My wife and I don't know what we were doing, but we Lake Saranac, like we kayaked on that thing one
Oh,
time.
it's Saranac Lake, yeah. Was it
It was it was in the summertime, and can I just tell you, it was the only time in my life I've ever stayed at a fucking B&B. Don't ever do that.
No, I was when I first began my job out of college at the newspaper I was working at in Watertown. It was a family-owned newspaper. These people that owned the paper were very wealthy, and they were benefactors to the entire area. And they used to put their new hires in this bed and breakfast. It was an arrangement that went back generations, and they kind of it was well past the time that people should have been staying at bed and breakfasts in Watertown, New York. But the family that owned the paper felt they had a responsibility to help this old woman out, and it was the only time I stayed at a bed and breakfast. They put me up there for a week, and after 2 days, I moved myself out.
Yeah. Fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Speaking of travel, our topic today is something I think that's both near it to me. It's an enigma, and I don't know. We're gonna get into it, but our theme today, everybody, is Disneyland or
and
Disney World or just Disney in general.
have you been to both?
No, just the one in Florida. World. That's World, right?
Yeah, Disney World. I didn't. I know you lived in California, so I didn't know if you went to Disneyland too.
No, I mean, when I was in California, all I did was work. All my travel was work. I would, but and I never went as a kid. Did you go as a kid? Maybe we should start there with the history of it.
Yeah, I did go as a kid, but back when we were growing up, there was only the Magic Kingdom. There wasn't all these other parks, and
Okay, right,
then I think, and Busch Garden used to give Disney a run for its money.
right.
Uh, and then Disney started building the other parks, and so I had only gone to Disney World as a kid, and I gotta be honest with you, it wasn't that memorable. I always talk to parents now who have young kids, and they're like, "Well, I want to bring them to Disney and create memories." Oh, I went to fucking Disney when I was a kid. I don't have any memories.
Well, All right, so
I actually have memories of other amusement parks.
I guess what's kind of weird is like when I was a little kid, I watched the shit out of the Mickey Mouse Club. Right? Do you remember that? Did you even watch that show, the black and white show?
I remember it being on, and but it was it was in reruns
Well,
when
yeah,
growing
but I
up.
mean, dude, I watched. Come on, you didn't watch like a shit ton of TV when you were a little kid.
Oh, I watched a shit ton of TV.
I watched that show. Like they had the pirate thing, and they had other, you know, other kinds of stuff. But I mean, I got, I didn't like the Mickey Mouse cartoons. Like obviously, Bugs Bunny and the Merry Melodies stuff was a lot better. Uh, for kids like us. But I mean, I was into it with like Annette Funicello and all them fucking, Cubby and all that. You don't remember that all with their little hats with their
No,
names on them and
I do
shit?
remember it, but I kind of like had a jaded view toward it because I was like, I thought Cubby was a dumb name, and I used to study this kid thinking like, why is your name Cubby? And his name bothered me, and
Hmm,
uh,
interesting.
I did have I was a little bit attracted to Annette.
Yeah.
Uh,
You didn't know why yet, though, right? Remember that? Remember the feeling like that? You don't really know why. Like the first time you looked at a nudie magazine.
well, yeah, we used to go dumpster diving at the Southgate Plaza behind my house, and it would always those dumpsters would always be filled with like nudie magazines.
My
But
neighbor's dad had a stash, and we knew where the stash was. So we had a lot of woods by our house, and we would steal wood. There was still like a lot of new construction going on when I was a kid.
yeah,
We'd go steal wood from the construction and build forts in the woods. Did you do that?
yeah, we used to build forts all the time in the woods and hold
And then
tarp.
we go look at we'd steal beer from our neighbors' garages because no one ever locked their houses up. And we'd look at the magazines. I don't know.
Oh, that was the benefit of having a newspaper route was
Yeah.
you'd see what houses had beer in their garages.
Me and Matt, or Matt and I, my brother, stole a 6 pack of, I can't remember if it was St. Pauli Girl or Lowenbrow. And we went and drank it in the woods, and it was awful.
Yeah.
But back then you just powered it down anyway, right?
Oh, because that's like a malt liquor.
I don't know what it was. I just remember
We
it
had
being awful and us like laughing and then like chugging it anyway.
well, me and Jimmo used to do. We used to go into supermarkets and we would walk up and down the beer aisle and we would pop the lids off bottles of beer and then just drink it as fast as we could.
Yeah, I did that in high school.
And I can remember doing that once with a lone brow bottle and spitting it all out.
Yeah, I walked out of Bell's one time with a Labatt's, like a 6 pack of Labatt's 50s, which
Yeah.
I don't even think they make that anymore. And whoever I was with, we started drinking them, and they were just god awful. And I'm like, I could have stole anything. How the fuck, how am I this unfortunate? It's like karma coming back to smack you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
speaking of beer and Disney, what I had one memorable trip to the Magic Kingdom. This was actually this was during my honeymoon. We had gone to the Bahamas, I think. I can't even remember.
uh-huh.
And on the way back, we when we got off the cruise liner, we went to Disney World for a night, and I remember it being just like 1,000 degrees, and I wanted a beer. And you know that Brady Bunch episode where they went to Disneyland and they lost Mike's blueprints and they were searching all over the park for trying to find the blueprints. Well, that's how I was like trying to find a beer, you
Right
know?
on.
And
Yeah.
I went for hours and hours. I could not find a beer anywhere. And I finally asked some employee at a stand or like a food stand, and she looked at me. I'm like, "Do you have any beer? Where can I get a beer?" And she just looked at me and she said, "Sir, there is no beer at the Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
And, I was like, well, then I fucking hate the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. You're lucky they didn't throw you out. So I got you right there. I did not go to Disney until I was 40 years old.
Yeah.
And it was for my brother, one of my brother's second wedding. So long story short, my wife actually teed me up to the fact that they wouldn't be serving beer in the Magic Kingdom. So I filled up my backpack with these little airplane bottles of vodka and Jack Daniels. I had about 10 of them.
Genius.
And my brother Joe, what was interesting was he landed and I said, I'll come and meet you at the front gate. And I already had like a Diet Coke. I went and bought a Diet Coke, dumped about half of it out and filled the rest with Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Pretty good move, I must say. So I meet him at the front gate and we start walking to go meet up with the rest of the family. And, it's already like noon. So he's like, where the fuck's the beer? Where's the beer stand? And I'm like, no beer. So, of course, me being the guy that likes to fuck with people, he doesn't believe me. He's like, oh, fuck you, Jerry. There's beer here. Don't tell me that, And so I'm like, I'm telling you. So he goes up to the refreshment stand and he gets the story you got. Like, sir, how dare you? And then he comes back and he's like, holy shit, there's no fucking beer here. Da-da-da. And he's all hungover because he took the red eye or something from California. So I hand him my Diet Coke and I'm like, take a good pull on this. And he just like fucking chugs it. And then he hugs me and he's like, I fucking love you.
The irony is they think they're like, they had this moralist position where they wouldn't serve you fucking beer, but they had no problem charging, you $100 to walk through their fucking gate, which was a lot worse. But
I had to pay that much for my 2-year-old son. Right. And then we went on the teacups. We waited like 4 hours to ride the teacups.
Yeah.
Every fucking ride had like a 3-hour wait. And then you could pay extra to cut the line. You ever do that? We did that the last time.
Yeah. That started well after I went the last time I went there.
How many times did you take your kids there?
Well, here's the deal. My problem isn't Disney World per se. It's although I do have I have some issues with I'll get into that with what they offer society, but I kind of fell in the middle of it. One of my problems with Disney is that they have somehow brainwashed Americans, especially Americans with children, that you need to expose your children to the Disney experience.
I hate that.
And this was not in the fucking parental rule book I received when I had my kids. So I don't know where this comes from that, oh, we've got to bring the kids to Disney. And, so we differed on that position. And my parents lived in Florida after they retired. They didn't live near Disney. They lived like 3 hours west of Disney. But my compromise was we'd take the kids to Disney overnight. They'd have a full day at the park, but I wasn't fucking spending 7 days at the park and buying into this resort bullshit. And, you have to experience every park, every day. And
no,
they're thieves. So my problem really is with this notion that they've filled Americans with, that like your children won't have a full childhood experience unless you bring them to Disney. My other problem with Disney is there's this whole legion of grown women who, are in their 30s and 40s and they're still like Disney princesses.
Yep.
They go to Disney and they get so excited by it, and it's just it's such a weird thing to me. It's
It's fucked up.
it's not a it's
There's something wrong about it. It's like a
it really
mental.
is, and it's not. It's like the least. I don't know. I've read some pieces where people have blamed Disney for creating uh
Cult.
well, creating the notion that, like, women have to experience a certain kind of love in their life where, like, a man comes and sweeps them off their feet and provides them like this certain type of life and security, and like they trace it back to Disney. I don't know if I buy that, but
Well, just
when I talk to some of these women who have this weird love for Disney,
fixation. Yeah.
I maybe I I buy into it. And my third problem with Disney is I had to go to a work conference with that was near Disney on the Avenue. You ever hear of that place? I don't know.
No.
It's like a strip of restaurants and movie theater, but it's all Disney and bars and
Yeah, you can take the bus to it, right? I went there.
yeah.
I went there. Yeah.
I was attending this conference. It was kind of across the street and about 5 blocks down, and so a coworker and I went over, and you know we were in this Disney we were in Disney, I guess, and everything was so expensive, and I just every shop there just sold bullshit, and
Yep.
it was outrageously priced.
Yep.
But I mean, people were just spending hand over fist, and I was like, yeah, this Disney really offers society nothing. It's like a taker, and
Yep.
uh, and I know I'm in the minority on this one, but I think their movies suck. But
Well, I
no,
have their
I don't.
stock, so I'm not gonna bag on it too much. But
But yeah, so
remember
it's
our
just
buddy, remember
go ahead.
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah,
We did a little piece on him a while back. He in some of his lectures that he puts online, he's big into archetypes, like the hero archetype, the Joker archetype, like there's like 12 personality types,
yeah,
and he uses the Disney stories to kind of exemplify these things, and it's all like, you have to wonder how much of that is nature or how much of it just is tattooed on your fucking soul
yeah,
from the time you're a fucking kid. Because to me, it's like a cult.
yeah.
When you hit it on the head with like middle-aged people, and it's not just women. There's plenty of guys. I had a customer in New Jersey. He's a director of IT for a big company. I went into his fucking office. There was Disney shit everywhere. I'm like, I wanted to punch him in the face, and I liked the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then when I hear that slogan, the happiest fucking place on earth,
Oh God.
I want to just choke somebody. I don't know.
No, that's not the happiest place on earth.
They're- It's like the least happiest
I
for
get
them.
people
You know?
people who believe that tagline. I guess I got more problem with the Disney followers than I do Disney itself, but Jesus Christ,
What about I saw an article a few years ago about some like fat middle-aged guy that like rented the scooter. He wasn't handicapped, but he rented like the handicapped scooter because he didn't want to get tired walking around Disney.
Um, well, that's a real thing. The first time I brought my kids there, my parents tagged along, and my dad was starting to get into ill health, and the place was so big that he couldn't keep up with us, and he had to him and my mother had to like walk around themselves because my father was just he couldn't walk, and yes, he should have got one of those.
Well, that's different. I mean, this guy was just like 40 years old, single, and he was like, a fucking Disney fanatic.
Yeah, that part is brilliant.
And he's like got the ears on, and he's fat and just like chubby, and he's got his big, gigantic mug filled with, soda and his Mickey Mouse ears. It's just like, I mean,
the Disney parade at night, I didn't mind like having my kids watch that. They were into it,
Yep.
Thing was, I hate how you have to like line up, for hours before the fucking thing starts, But and I will say that Space Mountain is still probably one of the best rides anywhere I've ever been on.
Yeah, I did it.
That's a great ride. But someone died on it while I was there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was weird,
Exactly.
man. It was weird. Someone fucking died on it. But I've been to Disney World, like I went twice as a kid. I brought my kids there twice, but like both were like day trips. And I don't, they don't, I don't know. It didn't change their life. And
no, we've taken
once,
our kids. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then I went once for one night, for one day after when I was coming back from Bahamas, and I don't know.
Well, I'm lucky because one, my wife couldn't care less about that place. Two, I've taken my kids there. We've gone maybe like 3 or 4 times, and we'll probably go one more time. But my daughter has she was into princesses when she was little. She really liked, she still kind of does. But she's already like, nah. There's a picture on my wall. We went to this place called Atlantis in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And my son got to like get his picture taken in the water with the dolphin. And my daughter, that's all she talks about. She's like, when do I get to swim with the dolphin? So, I mean, and that place has gambling and they drink anywhere you want. So there's that. But there's actually like cool stuff to do at this resort. I just think for your money, there's a zillion other fucking things to do for that money too.
Yeah, exactly.
But we stayed. We're getting towards the end, but I mean, when I went there, I have to admit, a couple of times I got really fucked up. And the one time, like my wife and kids went to bed, and I went out to a bar. Like we stayed on the property. We stayed at the beach resort.
Yeah.
So I went down to the bar and I met these guys from New York, and we were all talking shit and just loud and F-bombing. And the next thing I knew, like these dudes in suits showed up and they're like, "Sir, are you okay?" And they're looking at me and this other guy, but they were looking more at me because I was like throwing F's around like like they were free. And
you dick.
I know. I finished my drink and went to bed. At least I wasn't too drunk that I didn't get the clue. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll be going now.
The weird now the dichotomy or the paradox is, and I told you this before, as much as I hate Disney, I collect like old vintage Mickey Mouse shit because I like the kitschiness of it. Like not anything new that comes out, but like it's got to be like 30 or 40 years old or older. And I think that comes from I am a fan of the old black and white Mickey Mouse cartoons when he was more of a rat.
Tugboat Willie.
Yeah, all that shit. I love that kitschiness,
Sure.
I'm also a fan of Felix the Cat, who is totally different. He's on the dark side of Felix the Cat is the dark, so he's on the wrong side of the tracks compared to Disney.
It's funny. There's a Russian cartoon. I guess it's real famous. It's supposed to be the Russian equivalent to Tom and Jerry. And the reason I know this is because we had this Russian lady watching my daughter for a while back in the day. And it's called New Pagadi or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really awful, but it's a fox and a rabbit. And the rabbit's a girl, supposedly. And no, it's not a fox, it's a wolf. and the wolf smokes cigarettes, and he's always trying to, like, you don't know if he's trying to pick her up or eat her. And it toggles between just creepy. I mean, Russian people are pretty messed up to begin with, but you should watch it sometime. It's like, I'll send you a link to it. New Pagadi, but this lady used to have my daughter watch it all the time, and I watched it once, and I'm like, I don't think I want Claire watching this cartoon, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy who he hated amusement parks, just hated them. His wife hated them too, and they decided that, and they had kids, and they decided it sounded cruel when he first told me, but then I got to thinking, and he's absolutely right. He's like, we don't go to fucking amusement parks on our vacation. He goes, vacations are, my wife and I are the ones who work, not our kids. Vacations are for us. And the kids are privileged enough to join us. And I'm like, it sounded harsh when he first told me, but I think about that. I'm like, he's absolutely right. This notion that, like, we owe our children these fucking, week-long resort trips. We're really, spending a week at Disney is fucking torture on parents. It's fun for the kids, but the parents, mom and dad, they're the ones who are working and humping it every fucking day.
Yep.
Vacation.
I don't get any of that.
Vacation should be a time of relaxation.
Well, and again, you're at that park, dude. How many hours do you sit in line for a ride? I mean, in a whole day, you go on what, 4 rides?
I don't work my whole fucking life to fucking do that, and the people who buy the more costly ticket so they can cut everybody. There's something.
I'm one of those.
There's something fucked up about people who do that.
No, what's great is when you do that and you look at all the other idiots sweating in the hot sun, and you just kind of smile at them like, haha, fuck you.
There's a problem with people on both ends, I suppose. But when my kids are, and we like beach vacations in my house, and and when my kids started to get older, they would fight constantly on vacations. I mean, it got to the point where it was like, I'm either going to murder them or, we're just never going to go on a vacation ever again. So I insisted that from a certain point on, that if they wanted to keep going on family vacations, they had to each bring a friend. So they could hang out with their friend and not be at each other's throats and not annoy me. And we did that for like the last 6 years of our, because my kids are grown now and on their own. But, but my attitude to that was like, I guess came from my coworker that, like, this is my time and you can come with me.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up with a funny quote. And it goes like this. When you're curious, you can find lots of interesting things to do. Oddly enough, the inventor of that quote was Walt Disney himself, which sounds ironic because the last fucking thing I find interesting is going to a stupid park. So fuck you, Walt Disney. You are not the smartest guy in the room.
My favorite quote was, Walt Disney is a racist.
I wasn't going to bring that up, and I'm glad you did.
God, what an awful fucking man.
What a dick.
Another reason not to support those fuckers.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, everyone.
Stay free, man.
Bye-bye.